Hi, good evening, guys. Thank you all for joining another really interesting episode in the Dogspot Facebook live education series. Uh, my name is Anand. I'm the founder of a company called ANHS. We are into services. We also do a little bit of pet education. Today we have a very interesting topic, and we also have a very interesting guest. Who is going to be talking to us about kidney functions and anything to do with renal and stuff like that. We have Aakerschika. Aakerschika, welcome. To have
Hi,
you here on
Anand.
Dr. Hi. So Aakerschika is a clinical pet nutritionist, right? And we will touch upon that, like I was telling you, Aakerschika. So we will touch upon that. We're just waiting to see, if we have few more viewers joining in. But that's a very, very unique term. I have been in the space for quite some time, and I have seen a lot of, like I was telling you, right? Canine
Yeah,
nutritionist is,
canine.
is there.
That's right.
So a pet nutritionist is a new term. So we'll just wait before we can, we can get on to the
Right.
information bit.
Mm.
Um, so while we're waiting, I just thought, Akarshika. So you're currently based in Noida. Is that right?
Noida, right.
Okay. All right. Okay, so we do have quite a few people joining in. So, Akarshika, so why don't you tell us? Why don't you start with the term canine pet nutritionist? What is canine pet
Clinical
nutritionist?
pet nutritionist, you got it wrong.
I'm so sorry. That's exactly what I was saying that I should not say. Sorry, guys.
Yeah,
So it is not canine. As you can see, I'm so partial towards canine. I'm so sorry for all the feline lovers here, but it is a clinical pet nutritionist. I stand
right.
corrected. So why don't you tell us, Akarshika, what is a clinical
So
pet
it's
nutritionist?
more of a holistic approach, Anand, where we don't just focus on canines. We focus on felines and other companion pets as well. So I have basically specialized in canines and felines, and not only nutrition, like what to add, what kind of food can react to which kind of medication. Then acupressure is there, and we also have biochemical salt tissues, backflower remedies. So we've learned basically how to like bring nutrition into your pet's life with a more well-rounded and holistic approach.
Got it. So yeah, it is, of course, right. It's a very interesting as a subject. It's very interesting, but it's also a life-saving thing, right? And
Right.
because kidney function really, and we'll touch upon that just a little bit more. When does it come up? What are the symptoms, etc. So we do have quite a few people who are actually joining and who are saying hi, hello. So let me just quickly, say hello to Damayanti. Hi, Srishti. Hi, Shalaka. Hi, Rana. Hi, Rahul. Rahul says. Yeah, so there, Rahul, sorry. Rahul is asking, isn't Miss Mishra clinical pet nutritionist? Yes, guys, for all of you who joined late, thank you, because I made a big blunder. It's not canine pet nutritionist, but a clinical pet nutritionist. So yeah, so Akarshika, tell us. So you have also not just have an interest in the subject, but you've also gone and learned about it, and you're actually certified, right? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So I actually, when I was a kid, I my dad he was in police, and we had a lot of German shepherds and used to breed them, and I would see a lot of dogs like dying really early. 7 years old, 8 years old would be the age where these problems would start. So when I started getting my own dogs, when I came of the age and I got my own first dog, I was very particular about what I'm feeding him. So I did
Yeah.
a lot of research, and that actually encouraged me to do a course on this, to learn more about it. And that's where I started learning more about it. I also did a few short courses from the AKC. This was also because of the same reason that I wanted to know how to go about with it.
Got it. So as a person, you want to get into the details of things, right? You want to know how it
Right.
functions, what functions, and how can it better the lives or better your pets. That's how it started. Basically, it started off with your pets. Do you want to tell us just a little bit more? I know that you have had a range of pets, canines and felines. Just a little bit there.
So I have a lot of 7 English masters. My oldest is around 14 years 1 month now, and
Wow.
she is absolutely fit. Apart from the fact that she has osteoarthritis, so we're taking care of that. We've put her on supplements, and now she's doing pretty well. We also, our youngest is 6 years old. Because it's, I think, 2-3 years back that we quit breeding. And we also have 2 Siberian Huskies, we have 3 cats and a Basset Hound, and we have a rescue Akita who has unilateral hip dysplasia.
Oh, I see. Okay. So it is really a full house you have there, right? Cats and dogs. It's like it's a lot of stuff going on. But it's nice, right?
When you have
And
cats, you can easily manage it because cats know how to shove off the dogs.
okay. All right. Okay. That's good. So I think coming back to the issue here, I think is about the whole nutrition and what made you, or is it a specialization? And probably I want to ask you, is it a specialization that renal is a part of the whole,
It's not
clinic?
specialization, it's a part of the whole course. You have a lot of subjects. In fact, it includes any and every health issue of dogs and
Got it.
cats.
Got it.
Yes.
So, but why is it so important? Because we do see a lot of pet parents coming back and saying, kidney issues and, the dog or cat is suffering and so on and so forth. And then they get into so many things, right? So can you just walk us through just the basics, right? From, let's say,
A lot of my
kidney.
clients, a lot of my clients are actually clients who have animals with renal issues. Very common in India. So this is a topic that should be discussed, and people should know how to go about caring for their own pets. Going to vets is very important, but you as an owner should also be aware of what you're feeding, because feed is very important here, and how you're taking care of your pet at home.
Understood. Understood. So we have some questions coming in. Dinaka Pratap is asking, my toy breed puppy stopped growing. She was diagnosed with kidney, and I'm just going to quickly, I'm not going to put it up. I'm just saying, oh, I'm so sorry. I think the puppy passed away. But he's trying to understand, is the genetic kidney issue or a kidney issue due to kibble she had? Dinaka, just hold on, right? I think we will talk about that. I think we do have, Aakerschika has got some opinions on that, and she can probably share that. I think somebody else is also asking, what are the clear signs of feline kidney disorder? Again, Damayanti, we'll get to you. We do have that. I think we just want to just go through the initial basic before we touch upon that. Aakerschika will be happy to answer that. I'll come back to that. So Aakerschika, do you want to just quickly start off with kidney function itself, just the bare basics, right? How does kidney function?
It's one of the most major organs of the body. Why? Because it maintains the blood pressure, it purifies the blood, it actually filters the blood, it maintains the blood sugar level, it also secretes this hormone called EPO, which is again responsible for the for the increase of red blood cells, to stimulate the growth of the red blood cells. It again filters out the waste from whatever we're eating, from the food, from the metabolic byproducts, and from the blood. So the waste, it kind of filters the waste out, and it also retains good materials like protein, which
Okay.
is very important for our body. And so this whole process of filtration happens because the blood passes through the kidney. That is when the kidney filters it, and the waste material is released through the urine.
Understood. Understood. So, is there any difference? I know it may be a silly question, but is there any difference between human kidney, the way it functions, versus cats and dogs? Is there any similarities, differences?
The function is
More,
very similar. The function
more
is
or
it's,
less,
it's the same. It's basically the same.
right? But I think things change when it comes to diet and activity
Yes,
and
yes.
things like that.
In fact, in humans also, we apply the same, facts, that there should be, it should be high in potassium, it should be low on phosphorus, low on protein. Even with humans, that's the case.
Understood. So we do have questions coming in, and I think probably if we can touch upon, because I think somebody is asking, pyometra, is it related to kidney? I think we will touch upon that. So somebody's saying that Suchana has been saying that male 8 years old has been diagnosed with a higher creatinine level. Now, Suchana, just you'll have. I mean, we will touch upon these things as we go along. But yeah, age is a very important thing, Aakerschika. So I think again, bare basics. When we say kidney issues, what is kidney issues? Is it age related? Because mostly we see it seems to be coming in at a late age.
Mostly, yes. As the age progresses, the dog is prone to have kidney issues. Chronic kidney issues mostly happens as the age increase, but that's not a sure shot thing. It can occur at a very early stage also. Plus, there is like non-chronic kidney issue which can happen because of some infection that your dog has got, or maybe some other underlying issues.
Okay. Uh, but by and large, would you say, because you have been in the space and you really have consulted a lot of people and you do that, but by and large, is it age related except for these infections that come in?
Yes,
Okay,
because with age, the body kind of deteriorates and even the immunity level goes down. That's where it really hits the dog.
understood. And is it the same when it comes to dogs and cats, or have you seen that there are differences?
Cats are more prone to kidney issues than
I see.
dogs. They are much more prone. In dogs, breeds like Samoyeds and GSDs especially are very, very prone to kidney issues. In fact, genetic kidney issues. That's what I'm talking about here. Cats, Persian cats are very, very, very prone to kidney issues. And even, your normal ferals, the desis are also very prone to kidney issues, more so than dogs.
I see. Any relation to genetics here? Kidney issues? Have you seen any kind of correlation?
Yes, there are this kidney issue does happen genetically when so if the parents pass on that abnormality to the puppies.
I
So
see.
some puppies do. In fact, you can get to know about that through radiography, maybe an X-ray or an ultrasound. Where if the kidney is small, it's mostly genetic.
I see.
Now,
Okay.
if the
Oh,
kidney
that's
is enlarged, on the other hand, it could be because of an underlying issue, and it mostly happens because of cancer,
because of cancer.
lymphoma.
Okay.
Yeah, lymphoma. So
Oh, okay.
that is one thing that we do a lot of tests, and some vets even recommend going for ultrasound or an X-ray just to see the size of the kidney.
Understood. Aakerschika, I think we have a lot of questions. I'm going to try and take up a few and see. So I think we have Natasha. Maybe I can show this up here, right? So Natasha says, my 8 years old French bulldog troubles me a lot when it comes to food. I've tried everything from Royal Canin to home food. Is extremely playful, energetic, but often suffers from acid reflux. Is it related to kidney issues or just behavioral? What can I do to improve his appetite? So
So, nausea and vomiting is something that can be a sign of kidney issue. But this is something that you'll have to check with your vet. You'll have to run a few tests to get to know what the underlying cause of this acid reflux is. He could also be allergic to something that you're feeding him, probably that you don't know about. A lot of dogs out there are allergic to poultry. Some of them are allergic to grains. So that is something that you'll have to try and test on your own, or maybe reach out to a nutritionist, ask them to pull out a good plan for your dog, reach out to your vet, see what the underlying issues are here. To improve diet, I have seen fenugreek seeds working really well.
I see. Okay. And we have something else about uh, how good are dog food compared to home food. I think again this is to do with diet. Maybe slightly we want to touch upon that, because we will come back to diet and how diet can help with the kidney issues. But just your quick thoughts on this.
I think anything that is natural, that is preservative free, is always better for your dogs or cats for that matter, rather than going for something that has a lot of preservative, that is processed. to the extent where you cannot even recognize the ingredients.
Understood. So fresh, fresh food is I think even for us humans also, right? I think that's what they say. Anywhere where there's this process and there
Exactly.
is.
If we start eating processed, we would face a lot of health issues. Let's not forget the fact that dry dog food, especially, has only 6 to 7% of water that your animals require. So there can be a lot of issues. Kidney issues is like can be majorly caused by dry dog food. If you're not hydrating your dog well, if he's not drinking enough water with the food, if you're not probably soaking the food, that's when the dog would have electrolyte imbalances, again an issue which can be caused by kidney issue, and kidney issue also causes that. And I think it's always better to give home food. Dry dog food is I don't really agree with that.
Got it. So this one tip that when we were talking, you mentioned this, right? Is that as it is when dogs have dry food, they have a tendency to obviously drink a little bit more water. So access to water is important. But you also mentioned this really nice tip where you said that soak the
Yes,
food
soak
in.
the dog food in lukewarm water for about 20 minutes. Let the food absorb the water, and then it should go inside the system so that it does not soak up all the stomach fluids. Because if the stomach fluids are all soaked up, there is no water left or fluid left to go inside the kidney to flush the waste out. So when you're soaking it, you're actually taking care of this issue, happening there.
Understood. So I think Minty has got a very similar question. Can kidney issues get triggered because of incorrect diet?
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely,
right. So
definitely.
yeah. So I think we are getting a lot of questions on kidney issues, and then is it age related? But I think important is to understand what are the symptoms. How do I know my dog is perhaps suffering from a kidney issue, right? I think prevention cure is there, but what are the symptoms really?
So the basic symptoms are that the dog would get nauseous, he would lose weight over a period of time, and he would be depressed, and you would see the activity level going down in your dog. And some of the like not so common symptoms are fractures. So you might
Hmm.
see your dog's bone breaking like just like that randomly. And the other is a skin issue because of the phosphorus and calcium built up in the skin. The dog starts facing a lot of skin issues, and then you can see a lot of you could see bruising or ulcers in the mouth. That is also one of the sign of kidney issues.
I see.
Yeah, so these
Um,
last three are like rare, but still they are signs.
okay, sorry. Which three? The ulcers in the mouth is that a.
The breakage of bone, the
Oh,
skin,
breakage of
and
bone.
the ulcer around the mouth, and if you see any kind of bruising around the mouth area.
Got it. So, in your recommendation, what would you say, right? So, when people are noticing, is this something that people should keep an eye on, even in younger dogs, or are you saying it's all right with younger dogs, but mostly after they hit a certain age, then it's important to keep a close eye on these symptoms, or younger dogs also do pick up, and when you see the symptoms, I think it's just best to get a vet check done.
I think people should start going in for bi-yearly, vet checks, at least getting the KFT, LFT, and the CBC done, so that you know what that your dog is in within the normal range. And also, see, kidney issues ka kya hai? It progresses very slowly, and by the time you get to know, it's almost always too late, because
Right.
kidney adapts, to the degeneration. So it's always best to get at least, if not a bi-yearly, then an annual vet check done, a complete
Understood.
blood work done.
Understood. So I think we have quite a few questions coming in, and I'm just trying to see, right, if there's anything that.
There was one
So
about
I think,
that I'd like to respond to.
sorry, which one, Aakerschika? Which one?
Somebody asked that whether pyometra is related to kidney issues.
Yes. I'm looking for
It's
that
not. It's not.
It's not, right?
It's not. It's because of uh, if a female is not spayed and is so the vulva opens, every heat, and it's prone to getting infected, and then it would close for coming 6 months, and that infection festers inside, becoming endometritis, and then later on turning to pyometra. So it's always better to get your female spayed, at least even if you're breeding by the age of 4 to 5 years old.
Right. So pyometra is mostly to do with the heat cycle, and and from there on, but not really
Heat
related
cycle, and
to.
basically your female getting infected when the vulva is open during the heat, is
Understood.
exposed, that passage is exposed.
Understood. Right. I had one more question. Okay, so this is something close to diet, but maybe we can take this up, right? So Purnima says canines are supposed to be able to digest non-vegetarian food better. Do dogs need food higher in protein? Does regular non-veg food cause kidney, liver issue like in human?
So in humans also, non-veg doesn't cause kidney and liver issues. It's if you eat anything in excess, it's going to cause that. A very high intake of protein would cause that. Even if you're eating non-veg like you have to eat it in regulation. If you eat only chicken, avoid the veggies and the grains, you're obviously going to get, a very high protein intake, and you might be prone to kidney issues in that case. With dogs, no. If your dog is healthy, feed them a good amount of non-veg, add in some vegetables, fresh vegetables and grains, and go about it like that. If your dog has renal issues already, please give a very, very low amount of protein, because in that case, diet and protein should be low.
Got it. So I think Purnima has got another, I think, interesting question, which perhaps is: do dogs require sodium, potassium like humans? We aren't supposed to give salt to them, right?
Uh, yes, they do require sodium and potassium, but the sodium they can get from the organ meat. You don't need to add salt.
Right. Okay, so I think Shalaka has one question on vaccination and then kidney issues. She's asking, does over vaccination cause kidney issues?
So there has been no study done as such to prove it, but yes, a lot of uh, scientists, veterinarians are of the opinion that if you are over vaccinating your dog, your dog will be prone to kidney issues. A lot of people say that, and in my opinion, also do not over vaccinate your dog. Vaccinations have a high amount of mercury in them, much more than your dog requires. So over vaccinating shouldn't be done.
Right. And I think we can still also, right, if we're looking at vaccinations, because, for travel, we do the titer test. We can,
Yeah,
at least
titer
for,
test is the best thing. I think vet labs do have them available.
it is,
Um,
it is
it
available.
is available. You can always do that. Do not over vaccinate your dog.
Right. So I think moving on to, I think, so how can we, once we have identified, I think, what is in terms of preventive measures and diets? I think they are two different topics, but we'll start with preventive measures. Can you just let us know what, in your opinion, people should be doing to ensure that they can prevent this? I don't know if we can avoid it completely, but what
Genetic,
can
you
they do?
cannot avoid it. If it's genetic, it's going to happen. It's going to happen at the end of the day. You cannot
Got it.
avoid it. But if it's not, if suppose your dog had an infection because of which the kidney was affected, or the kidney is being affected by some other underlying issue, maybe the low blood supply to the kidney, that is where you can trace back, and you can cure it. But if it's chronic, you cannot. The preventive measure is obviously giving your dog a lot of water. Always keep fresh water and fresh and clean water available for your dog 24/7. Skipping out water at night doesn't really help your dog. If some people avoid giving water at night because the dog will pee a lot, you're not going to that's not going to help it. Just give him the water he requires. Even we drink water at night when we get up.
Okay.
And as for the diet, try keeping them on fresh diet. If you're giving dry dog food, pre-soak it in warm water before you give it to them. And the key is, keeping your dog hydrated and giving him natural food, giving him a natural diet, and you know uh, making, like, taking care of him, and also going in for the health tests every once in a year, or maybe bi-yearly.
Okay. But at what age would you recommend, Akarshika, for people to start doing the bi-yearly blood test?
The day you get the puppy, you start at the age of, I think 6 months pe pehla test, and then every 6 months you can go for a test. Why not? Why should you wait?
Fair point. Yeah. Because anyway, I think annually everybody goes in for the vaccination. So this is just another, 6 monthly you can get a blood test done, and just to make sure things are all okay. All right. Yeah.
Yes, 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 definitely.
Absolutely. I just want to, quickly roll back to the point that we are talking about, water and allowing the dogs to pee, right? The whole keeping the giving. I do know, right? With sometimes you say, okay, let's not give them water or give them less water in the night so they don't pee. But as a normal process, what would you recommend? Because I also know some dogs will not, once they've got used to not peeing inside the house, they will not pee. They will just hold it back,
No,
right?
I'm
If it
not
is 3 hours,
that let your dogs pee. I just came across this article by someone saying that, you should take away the water at 8 p.m. till morning 8 a.m. I said, don't practice that. Don't be afraid that your dog is going to pee inside. Your dog will have enough bladder control to wait till the morning and, pee the next morning. So don't do that. Don't take the water away, is what I'm saying.
got it. But apart from night, daytime, what would you recommend? How often should the dog? Because I mean, I don't know if this is my understanding. I think this is something that I read, is that if they hold on for a longer time, then the concentration obviously does become stronger, and that can
So
cause.
water should be available 24/7.
Right.
Clean water, change it 3 to 4 times a day. The meal that you're giving, make sure it has a lot of water content to it, so that they don't get dehydrated, and they have enough fluid to flush the waste out.
Understood. Understood. So we have a question from Minty who's asking, is meat non-veg a mandatory requirement for dogs? What about cats? Can you please talk about how important meat or non-veg is for cats? I think this is a really important one, right? In
So
terms of
cats,
meats.
I'll tell you. So this is again related to the kidney issue itself. Cats are obligate carnivores. They cannot process high loads of carbs in grains. They cannot process, lactose, which is very high on sugar, which is a very, lactose itself is a very complex form of sugar. Cats cannot process that. They don't have the enzymes to do that. So feeding them anything plant-based is a big no, be it grains, be it vegetables. Stay away from milk product unless it's yogurt. Keep your cat's meal 100% meat. Do not add anything else to it. No vegetables are required, no grains are required. Let's not forget, cats are obligate carnivores. Another fact here is that cats, like I think I did discuss this with you, cats are the descendants of Felis labaica, which is basically a desert cat, and their bodies are accommodated to not drink a lot of water.
Right.
So their water intake is mostly metabolic than ingested. So their preys, like the birds, the rodents that they hunt are 75% water. 70 to 75% of water. That's where they're getting their water from. If you start feeding them vegetables, not required. It won't even have the water content, let alone the digestion of the carbs or the plant-based proteins. Another thing is, plants have cellulose in them. Another thing that cats cannot digest.
Right.
Yeah, so cats cannot digest cellulose. This is one thing that we have to remember.
Right. What about this, right? So most people, including me, for a very long time, thought milk was great for cats, because for some reason, that is just the milk and milk rice, right? I think even for dogs, I used to give milk rice long ago. So you're
No,
saying grains is absolutely not all right for cats, right? It has to be a
no.
meat based.
Meat-based diet, 100% meat-based. They are obligate carnivores. They cannot digest plant-based materials. Let's not forget that they cannot digest them. And about milk, again, like I told you, it has lactose in it, which is a very complex form of sugars. Cat cannot digest those. So milk
Right.
is a big no. Yogurt you can give a little, that's okay. But apart from that, do not go for any other, milk-based product. Even for dogs,
Understood.
I would say milk is not a very good choice for your dogs.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I think I learned that sometime back, right, after making a lot of mistakes, that it's not okay to give. We do give yogurt and buttermilk every once in a while, but definitely no milk, no rice. But
Hmm.
on the diet, let me come back to you. I think we were having one discussion about this. Somebody also asked about raw diet here. So there you go. I think. Manita is asking, raw diet seems to be picking up now for dogs. What do you recommend between home cooked and raw diets? Also, what kind of grains would you recommend for dogs?
So the animals that are used for the produce in India, that are, the source of meat, are kept in very unhygienic conditions, and there are various bacteria like salmonella that can, from raw chicken transfer to your own dogs. Your dogs could end up with intestinal bleeding. Do not go for raw in India. It's not meant for dogs here, until unless you have a source where you can get, lab tested animals that are free of any issue. Still, I would say nothing is, sure. Don't go for raw. Home cooked is always better in a country like India.
Right. Unless, of course, I mean, are you saying because it goes back to the source, right? You're saying maybe we don't know what the source is. If the source is all right, if someone knows the source, is it still recommended or?
Knowing the source is not enough. You need to check whether the animals that the source is rearing, or even if it's a free run, farm, that the animals are tested. They don't have any underlying issues which they can pass on to your own pets.
Got it. Got it. So yeah, so I think that's the thing, guys. So if you, I think it's a source, and then after that, it's just not the source, but we also need to know where they are reared and how they are kept and things like that, right? So we have one more question, guys. I'm sorry if some questions I may have missed, but can you, I think on the meal thing, if you don't mind commenting again, we can take this up. Um, so I think we have one which is perhaps, and I'll take off on a different thing on your consulting bit. One of my clients' dog, Lab, 7 years, suffering from renal issues. Can a diet be advised? Charandeep Singh is asking.
So renal issue, what is the stage? So there are four stages basically. What is the stage right now? Depending on the stage, protein, the amount of protein to be given and the amount of potassium to be given, vegetables to be given, grains to be added can be calculated. But in general, if you're going for, I'm not recommending this to you in to this Charandeep Singh, right, in person. I'm just saying that if you're going for a homemade diet, please visit your vet or check out with your nutritionist, get a diet chart pulled out, then only go for it. The protein content should be high human grade but low, high quality human grade but very low protein content, less than 20%. Potassium level should be high, phosphorus level should be very low in the diet that you're giving.
Got it. Got it. That's your answer, Charandeep. Aakerschika, on the same note, right? I know that you offer consultation, right, for nutritional consultation. So can you just walk us through how you do? Like if I had a dog and I saw that my dog is suffering. Since we're talking of renal issues, right? I had that. So how would you really go about this?
So I would ask you to get me all the health history of your dog. I would ask for a CBC, KFT, LFT. That is something that I always ask for. And accordingly, then I'll ask for like how active is your dog, what is the breed, what is the age, what is the weight, and what diet is he on now, and then calculate everything. look at everything, calculate everything, and probably would even want to talk to your vet at times. And then that is when I'm going to, pull out a diet chart for you.
Okay. So it's a complete understanding. You want to get an understanding of the health, the history,
Yes.
and everything, and then you would be able to give us this. And and I'm just going to put this up. I think this is the site. This is Aakerschika site. It's called go-for-real-nutrition.com. People can, guys, anything to do with nutrition, feline, canine, I will make sure I say felines, is you can reach out, because it's not just as putting few vegetables together or putting a few meats together and feeding it, because it really needs a lot of science. And who better than to go to experts, because Aakerschika has got all kinds of experience there. She will work this out from understanding completely and then go for. So you can reach out to Aakerschika on this site. Meanwhile, my eyes fell on one comment which I'd really like you to please shed some light. Minty is asking, could you please talk about impact of vegan diet on dogs and cats' health? I see many forums debating on vegan diets. As a professional, could you please talk about vegan diet and its impact on dogs and cats? I really think this is something that, as an expert, you need to really put it out there for all the people who are watching.
Renal diet is a big, vegan diet is a big no for all your dogs and cats. So plants, any which ways, like I told you, have cellulose in them. Animals cannot easily digest those, and you will have to add a lot of synthetic supplementation on top to make it balanced. But it's just what you're giving is just fillers. It holds no nutritional value for your dog, no to very little. Please do not go for vegan diets. Always and always make sure that you are, for dogs, you can mix up veggies, grains, and mostly the larger percent is meat. It's 60 to 80% depending on the age and activity level of the dog is meat. Rest you can add veggies and grains. For cats, it's a big no. Not even a little amount of grains and plant-based protein would I advise for cats.
Right. Yeah, I think as much as we like to have a choice in lifestyle, and I think we as humans can still afford to do that, because we can understand a lot of things. And when it comes to pets, I think vegan is not. And I say this.
We should not impose our own life choices and ideologies
Absolutely.
on our pets.
Absolutely.
They are different animals, they're different species, they have different requirements. You have to understand that canines are, if not obligate, carnivores to a large extent. They are carnivores. Some studies show that they're omnivores, but there's no proof of that yet. So let's just stick to the fact that they need meat, and please do not compromise there, or do not experiment with vegan diets when it comes to canines and felines.
Absolutely. I think I agree with you 100%. I think we have learned this the hard way after a long time, but yeah, including vegetarians, right? I am also vegetarian, but it's not that because I'm vegetarian, I impose vegetarianism on my dogs. They need the meat. We give them the meat. We have
Exactly.
to ensure that they get their kind of species appropriate diet, right? It's not about what I think and I believe, right? So. But we do have one question. So Kiran is asking, what grains can be given to dogs? Is grain okay?
First, you have to make sure that your dog is not allergic to grains. Wheat is a big no. You can give rice. Brown rice is a good idea. Oats is a good idea. Buckwheat does really well, and millets do really well for your dogs. But if you're giving grains, make sure they're whole grains rather than processed grains. A lot of people are giving, I know, store bought those Quaker oats. That's not a good idea. If you're giving oats, just give whole
Right.
oats. Do not get processed grains. But ensure, if your dog has any kind of yeast infection, do not give grains during that period of time, because yeast grow on sugar and grains have a lot of carbs in them, that is sugar, so it will increase the infection.
Got it. So we have Shobit. Hi, Shobit. So Shobit is asking, is high starch content in diet also a cause for kidney trouble? Should one avoid rice? I think it's fairly similar, right? because of the
No,
high starch
actually,
content?
rice is okay for dogs and cats. Even some of the renal plants in the early stages does include a little amount of rice in them.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So it's not about high starch. It basically, it should be low on sodium. It should be high in potassium. Phosphorus level should be very low, and calcium level, you have to talk about your vet before you add any kind of calcium supplementation or any natural source of calcium to the meal.
Right, right. Yeah, I think calcium is really important because I don't know how it has picked up, but mostly if you see, most people seem to think, especially growing puppies, they will just end up adding calcium. Calcium is the only thing that most people focus on,
Exactly.
which can be
When you're giving a dog food, store-bought dog food, it has all the nutrients your dog require. It
right,
has the amount of calcium your dog requires. Why would you want to add more calcium? It's not going to get absorbed.
right.
It's only going to end up, creating problem with the kidney. Also, the calcium would accumulate on joints. Then you'll have to go in again for a whole course of vitamin D3 to get to take care of that.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's what it is, right? So, overdosage of calcium, I think people don't realize that it can be detrimental to the dog's health in health in the long run, right? And
Right,
calcium deposits and brittle bones and things like it can cause because of over feeding of calcium.
right.
Um, Okay, so we have one very interesting, I don't know. Madhav says we have grown up feeding milk to cats since young age and haven't seen any cat falling ill.
See,
Um,
your cat didn't fall ill. That doesn't mean it's good for your cat. Your cat, it's still fillers. It's of no nutritional value to your cat. Maybe your cat is lactose tolerant. Like humans, there are animals that have lactose, that are lactose intolerant, and there are humans. There are animals that have tolerance for lactose. But even if it has that, that doesn't mean it's going to do your cat any good. In fact, the life expectancy of that animal would really reduce. Giving milk is not recommended in cats. It may seem like a good and convenient option, but it's not. There is
right,
no taurine, FYI, in milk, and your cats need a particular amount of taurine for their organs to develop. You're just giving milk, which is something your cat doesn't benefit from.
right, right. Yeah, no, I think this is all a part of learning because I can remember, when I had my first dog, and this is like I don't know, 40 years back. We would give the dog only rice and milk, right? That was the diet for the dog. I mean, I remember that, and I know the dog. I mean, he lived for a good, I mean, healthy life. I cannot remember if he fell sick or not. But I mean, as we progressed, then we started looking at other options. How can we better their lives, right? What is there that is there? Is it really good? It doesn't mean that just because we give something and nothing bad happened, we cannot conclude that, hey, this is good, right? We have to constantly
Right.
research. Same like how we do for ourselves, right? I think our
Right.
food has also, today we have so many different kinds of diets and things like that, because we are reading more and we say that, hey, this will help extend the life or help better the lives of us for our pets. So I think we need to look at that and not look at, okay, this worked, it nothing happened, hence it is good, right? We can't conclude
Right.
on
Very, very true.
again, I think we have somebody who's saying, can we give uh, chapati to dog? What is your opinion? Can you give chapati to dog because it's got some grains, but
Wheat is high on allergen. If your dog is allergic to gluten, it's a no. Even if it's not allergic to gluten, I would say wheat is just a filler for your dog. It's not going to benefit your dog. Why do you want to give fillers to your dog? Don't do that.
right, right. Yeah. Uh, yeah, absolutely right. I think rice is still okay, but wheat perhaps not as much as we can. I think we should try and avoid that. Akashika, maybe while we're still talking of diet, right? So can you tell us about? I understand that you have your own set of diets and treats that you have put together. based on this experience that you have in terms of your own pets and the consulting that you have done, you have really arrived at this formula. So just tell us a little bit more about what is it that you do and what are these treats, and how can it impact
The
when it comes
treats
to.
I have, like I have a lot of clients whose dog are allergic to a few things, and then there are clients with dogs with renal issues. For the dogs with renal issue, also, we want to give them a quality diet, quality life. So I have a few treats for them that are very high in potassium and have zero proteins and phosphorus in them, and they're homemade, they're fresh, they're preservative free, and I make them on order, customized as per the owners and the dog's requirement. And then I have jerkies that are high on protein and are okay for a healthy dog. And then I have treats with I would say some grains in them that is okay for dogs that are not really allergic to grains. And then there are dogs that are allergic to almost everything. Like I have a client whose dog won't eat lamb, he's allergic, not won't eat mutton, he's allergic, won't eat chicken, he's allergic.
Oh,
So for,
wow.
and even allergic to fish. So his
Oh,
dog is
wow.
totally on duck meat because it's a hypoallergen meat. And I do prepare duck jerkies for him and send it across to his dog for the
That's
same.
nice. Okay, okay. So when you say, and this is just an interesting point that I want to bring up. When you say that a particular dog or a cat, for example, is allergic to a particular meat, how does one go about finding that? Is there a test that we can run to find
There
out?
is
How does.
a test. There is a test for food allergies. It's very expensive. I think some labs do it for 18,000. Some labs do it for 22,000. Most labs send it abroad for further testing. If you can spend on that, good enough. Otherwise, if you know you're feeding something and your dog is not reacting well to it, please don't feed him that. Take him to a vet and ask his opinion on this.
Okay, okay, okay. So tests are available. If it is, then we can perhaps go with that. But otherwise, your vet should still be able to try and figure it out. Is that how we can? And then, or do you also do some trial and error? Like maybe you feed some meats and
Yes,
then you see
yes.
if there are.
Yes, I do that. Like, because a lot of clients cannot afford those tests. So for them, I do ask them to give a little amount of chicken and see, let me know how the stool was the next day and how did the dog react to it. If he takes it well, I then add it to the diet. If not, then I, stray away from that particular thing.
Understood. Understood. Okay. I think we have one more question here. I think this is another interesting one. So Rahul is asking, what is your take on feeding fish to dogs and cats?
So
Cats, perhaps.
fish for dogs is okay. For cats, like you can give once or twice a week, you can give fish to your dogs, but do not give them saltwater fishes. Give them freshwater fish. If possible, give them fish, a white fish that is a different kind of protein. It's better. And also, these fishes are the fishes that have they don't move around a lot. They're mostly stationary in water. They don't swim very fast, not very active. So that protein works really well for your dogs. And so twice a week it's okay. With, I would say, cats, if you're giving fish, please do not give in moderation. Do not make it a part of your daily meal, because fish doesn't have thiamine in it. And your cat can then have thiamine deficiency. So fish should not be a part of their daily diet. It cannot be the only diet that you're giving your cats.
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, so that makes sense, right? So, uh, sorry. Uh, I think we also saw one question. I think did I get? I think somebody is saying I got the website address incorrect. It's go-for-real-nutrition.com. Is that right?
That's right. Everything is in small though. There are no capitals, but I don't think that matters really.
Okay, okay. So this is the one, right? Go for real nutrition. Okay, all
Right.
right. Just wanted to make sure. I can end up making a lot of these small mistakes. So Okay, so we have one more question on fruits now, right? I think Subramanya is asking anything to be touched upon fruits to dog. Mine hogs banana. So any
Banana
fruits that
is
you
good. You can give fruits, just give them in moderation because fruits also have a high amount of sugar in them. You don't want to be giving your dog a lot of sugar, be it natural. So fruits can be given. Avoid pits, avoid seeds, avoid fruits that are citric in nature. Give them fruits, but in moderation.
right,
Apple is good, banana is good, papaya is good.
right. Of course, we don't want to go. I mean, we don't want to give grapes and those kinds, right? Which
No, no.
obviously are
Yeah.
are bad for dogs. Is it the
For
same with cats?
yes, it's the same
Cat.
with cats. Cats go fruits, though you shouldn't give fruits to cats.
Got it. Got it. And we have one more question. Manita is asking, how should the diet mix, that is the meat to veg to grain, progress with a dog's age?
So as the age progresses, you should cut down on the protein a little. The younger the dog, the more requirement of protein because he's growing. He needs that kind of protein to develop, to grow, to develop muscles. But as he matures, the protein level should come down, and you would even see that happening with a lot of dog foods. For puppy starters, you would see a high amount of protein and calcium, and as the age progresses, it comes down.
Got it. Got it. And in terms of meats, I think we have one more question here. In terms of meats, Purnima is asking which meats are the best for dogs. Is it a generic thing? Is it that certain meats are better than certain others?
I would say red meat should be given in moderation because of the fat content, and white meat is always better. It's leaner. It's always better for your dogs. Go for chicken, go for fish, go for duck, go for quail, any bird for that matter. Go for lamb, go for any kind of meat. Just, do not stick to one meat. Kind of move, like one day if you're feeding chicken, next day go for fish, and then the next day go for mutton. Keep on changing.
Got it. Got it. So on the meats and procuring the meats itself, what could be? I know we don't have a great system in place for the meats itself, but if you were to give a recommendation saying, hey, this is some place that you can pick up, right? Either fish or poultry or whatever it is. What would your recommendation? Where could people
I have
buy?
I have a very close friend who has a free run farm in Kashipur,
Oh, I
and
see.
she gets all the lab tested birds, and I only procure my meat from her if I am to give it to my cats. Other than that, if for my dogs, I do go for luscious at times because they are antibiotic free, and they deliver at your home, and it's easy. Just wherever you're procuring your meat from, just make sure that the animals are kept in a hygienic condition, and when they're butchering the animals, they're doing it in a closed area, which is also very hygienic. Always
Got
look whether they're wearing gloves or not while they're doing it, because then a lot of their bacteria in the hand can actually transfer onto the meat. So just see that if you're buying it from a shop, just see that it's happening in a hygienic way. Otherwise, there are so many, I think, online portals these days that do deliver meat that are antibiotic free, and that are clean and hygienic. But
got
then
it.
I've never seen the source. I've used it, and it turned out well for my animals.
Okay, okay. So I think first is obviously to get it from you because you have done your research and you know where they're coming from and all that is tested. But
Hmm.
if not, I think a second choice would be a human grade, right? And which
Yes,
you're saying
yes, human grade.
is some of the bigger portals or bigger players. I think because for them it's also about reputation. So obviously they don't want
If
to,
we talk
perhaps
about
not.
which kind of meat, it's not so. Your main focus shouldn't be the animal the meat is coming from. Your main focus should be what meat is it? Is it muscle meat or is it organ meat?
I see.
A lot of people can, when I talk about organs, heart is though like literally an organ, but it is a muscle. So it is will be considered in muscle meat. For cat, it's really good because it's high in taurine. So for cats, you can add more amount of organ meat. The ratio would be more. In dogs, I think whatever you're giving out of the whole diet, it should just be 5 to 10% organ meat. 70% can be muscle meat, depending on the age again.
Got it. Got it.
Mm.
And then I think here we have an interesting one on I think this is tongue-in-cheek. Subramania saying my dogs eat more grass than cows, but I just want to ask you. We see this as a normal practice, right? Eating grass. Because
Your
I've seen quite a.
has probably some digestive issues, which is why he's eating grass. So there can be an underlying issue. You need to check with your vet here.
Got it. So it could also mean that there's a nutritional deficiency, perhaps, or is it just that sometimes
Nutritional
they.
deficiency, not so much. That's not
Okay,
really the cause. The cause is basically when your dog has colic issue, when your dog is suffering from maybe a GI tract infection. That is when, to better his digestion process, he would eat grass. And there's a particular type of grass that he's going to eat.
true,
So you need
true.
to, definitely check with your vet and see if there are any underlying issues, which is why this is happening.
Got
Nutritional
it.
deficiency, I've seen dogs eating a lot of mud and even at times poop. So
Right.
and once they start, because of, and this also happens with a lot of dogs with renal issues, because we give them a very low amount of protein. I don't know why is it related, they start eating a lot of mud. And when your dog is, when once they start, even when you get them to a good healthy diet, they might at times continue, because then it becomes a habit. Dogs
Correct.
have a habit of eating anything that smells like mud, or that doesn't smell really good.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it may be if, once in a while, I think it's all right. But if a dog is continued to do this, then it may require a visit to the vet to
Yes,
find out
yes.
what is
If
what
he's
is
eating
happening.
like grass, like more grass than cows, then definitely.
Right. Right. And we have this, I think we spoke about this, I think Minty is asking, could you please talk about the use of herbs and essential oils in diets for cats and dogs? I think this is important. We were talking of some herbs, right? You did say that some herbs actually help for kidney related issues.
So kidney related issue, parsley is your safest bet. Parsley does help in the filtration process. Uh, then apple cider vinegar is also a very good idea. Essential oils, I would not recommend a lot of essential oil for cats, because cats don't really do well on essential oils. In fact, you should stay away from tea tree oil or peppermint oil when you have cats. For dogs, peppermint oil is very good. It can take care of colic issues. Tea tree oil is, though it should not be ingested by dogs, but if applied topically, it can be very curative for skin issues.
I
So,
see.
yeah, also lavender oil for that matter is really great for skin issues.
Right. Also, lavender neem is used for to keep away ticks and fleas, mosquitoes and things like that, right?
See, ticks and fleas, essential oils can be a preventive measure, but let's not forget that they are not sure shot. You should
Right.
always go for a spot on treatment, or something that is more veterinary than
Right.
going for just essential oils. They might help you, like when you're picking out ticks. Eucalyptus oil, you can drop one drop on the tick, and the tick then it kind of it faints, so you can then pull the tick out, so that the head doesn't remain stuck in the skin. But then
Right.
again, this is something which will take a long time, and this is again, I won't say not a sure short thing. You can
Absolutely.
obviously go for it, but then going for spot on treatments or other treatment that your vet recommend is obviously a great
Right.
thing to do.
Right. No, no, I agree. I think that's true. As an addition, I was probably just suggesting these essential oils. Try and keep a few of these away. But yeah, I think.
And coconut oil is really great. Coconut oil, if you can get virgin coconut oil, is really great for dogs. It's antifungal, it's antibacterial, it's said, I'm just, it's said, it's not yet proven to cure, even to, to prevent cancer. So coconut oil is a really great bet here.
Right.
Turmeric is again a very good herb to add to your dog's food, and even
Right.
applied topically, it does wonders.
Right, right.
Hmm.
And we have one more from Rahul who's saying, I have come across a lot of parents giving salt in their home cooked meal. Please kindly advise. I think, again, some of those golden rules that I think people should follow. So coming from somebody like you, I think it will be probably much more well received.
Salt should
So
not be added until and unless it's a cat. With cat, we do give them iodized light salt to in their meals, but then again, you should not, as a layman, nobody should add that. Please talk to your vet first, get in touch with your nutritionist, and then they might add it in the meal. You, as a person, should not be adding anything without knowing.
absolutely. No, I think it comes down to the same thing, right? If anything is there that you want to move around, play around with the diet, I think the best bet is to consult a nutritionist, because it's just not about current situation. It's also about understanding, like how Aakerschika was saying, right? She'll understand the history of the pet, pros and cons, all that before she can even suggest a diet. There's no silver bulleting here, right? Okay, let's just add this, let's add that, let's remove this, right? So it can have adverse effects. So please do consult a nutritionist before you change, especially as the dogs and cats get older. And again, right, if you're looking at any kind of kidney related issues, I think it's just important to understand what is there before an expert. I think it's just best to leave it with an expert before you play around with this. All right. So I think last question, I think we're just running out of time. I think we have discussed so many fruits and all, but so Munmun says, is papaya okay for my dog? He loves eating with his food.
Is it raw papaya or ripe papaya? If it's raw papaya, you can add a little to his meals. If it's ripe papaya, it will be high on sugars. It's okay, perfectly okay to give papaya to your dog, but remember, whenever giving fruits, give them in moderation because of the high sugar level.
Got it. Got it.
And remove the seeds also. That's very important there.
Right. Right. Uh, all right. I think thank you so much, Aakerschika. We are running out of time, but this was a
Yeah.
fantastic session. I think I learned like a lot. I think even the previous when we were talking, I really picked up a lot of tips. Thank you so much. I'm sure our viewers enjoyed this. Thank you so much, viewers, for joining
Thank,
in and
thank you
asking
so
all the
much for having
questions.
me.
Thank you, Aakerschika. Take care. Thank you,
Okay.
guys. Thank you. Bye bye.